deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Kelly Clarkson, and I am so excited to bring you the Kelly Clarkson Connection.
Connecting the music she loves.
Everything from Rosemary Clooney to Aerosmith.
The music she's inspired by.
The Queen, y'all. Aretha Franklin. Possibly my biggest influence vocally.
And her own award-winning catalog.
What doesn't kill you makes you strong. That's what you're going to get here. So you're welcome in advance. My SiriusXM channel.
The Kelly Clarkson Connection, Channel 12. And on the SiriusXM app. Free with all trials and popular plans.
I'm Andy Cohen. Hear me and my awesome lineup on Radio Andy. Andy Cohen Live.
Dale King in the house.
Jeff Lewis Live.
It's Me Tanks. Smith Sisters Live. Sandyland.
The Jess Cagle Show.
Big and Nice.
Revelations.
From pop culture, music to show-stopping moments.
Kelly Ripa. Ed Sheeran. Jennifer Lopez. Kevin Hart. Lil Nas X. Kelly Clarkson. I do want to do a duet with you.
You've heard it.
Yeah, I want to do it.
To hear Radio Andy, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I think so. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I think so. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I think so.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148688.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Centered around the latest odds and prop bets for college and pro football? Look no further than Sports Grid Radio on SiriusXM. Their winning team of experts, led by Scott Farrell, are analyzing the lines and odds for every game and updating the latest player props and team win totals.
Their quarterback situation is an absolute mess. With a win total of 9.5, I'm hammering the under.
Become a better with Sports Grid Radio, SiriusXM channel 159.
To hear Sports Grid Radio on SiriusXM, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
Plus shows on Alt Nation, The Heat, It's One, and many other channels. Listen throughout New Year's Eve on the SiriusXM app.
Open the SiriusXM app and listen on your phone when you get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. Channels vary by subscription plan. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
There are 8 ways to win, and you get 2 plays for $1. I also pay in a single lump sum. Super duper. Drawings held every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 9:10 p.m. See KSLottery.com for details.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Jordan of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. For me, and people who love the universe, that's what I'm doing. And I'm sticking with it. What a beautiful day. December 28th, 2023 is beginning to look a lot like Happy New Year. There's a Happy New Year coming to us all for 2024. May everyone have a wonderful, anointed, happy, blessed, safe, prosperous New Year. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. Give that some praise. You can follow Big C Sports Show sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. Home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, this time in the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya with good Lord split ya. If that makes sense to you, you can follow Big C Sports on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, Good Pods Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You can follow Big C Sports on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. You can follow Big C Sports on Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper. I'm telling you, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Rebug Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Policy, Podcast Republic, and one that you just give me but not does it is allfees.ai. Give that some praise because the robots are trying to take over. Even though we don't want them to take over, we want to say, turn them off! Turn off those robots. I want to say you can follow Big C Sports Podcast streaming OTT on 4 TV podcast platforms all over the universe. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You got to give that some praise. Really do appreciate that. I love giving praise to our veterans crisis hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. I know we all need somebody to lean on. It's nice when somebody's leaning back. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Tech TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, He said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then He said, let there be light. And I'm so grateful. Some more things coming up on reparations that's hitting all over the news. Because 2024 is the year it's going to happen. Give that some praise, and Big C Sports is going to be the vanguard of making that happen. We're saying if you don't believe in reparations, then go back where you came from. Some people think that's funny. But seriously, if you don't believe in reparations, go back where your ancestry came from. You got to believe in reparations to be a part of an American citizen. I'm going to put that on the ballot for 2024, and I think it's going to pass. You know, I want to just say, as I love doing Big C Sports today, this is the last Thursday of 2023, and I want to praise God for that. There's times when you either get, what they say is Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying. I think that's Morgan Freeman in that show Shawshank Redemption. And that's the mantra for 2024. Start living again. Get all the crap out of your life. Only deal with people who love you and care about you so you don't have the stress. Anxiety is up in the country because people can't afford Christmas presents. More and more people kind of having their challenge. But I want to give some praise to people who have belief that things will get better in 2024. I want to say it's going to get better in 2024. It already is, but we got to make sure that people who know that we share that message, and that's what I want to share with Big C Sports. I want to be able to give things that are factual and help people understand that facts tell and stories sell. Either lead, follow, or get out of the way. And I hope that with the sports world, it's a billion-dollar industry. Boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And I think sports can bring people together. But at the same time, sports, as it brings people together, we all fight for the same thing. We want our team to win. Well, what team are you on? Are you on the team of equality? Are you on the team of inequality? Are you on the team of repenting for your sins or not repenting for your sins? What side are you on? Especially when you hear about reparations, you'll see a lot of people come out of the woodwork and you'll think that they love you and they're your friends, but oftentimes you'll see there'll be many people turn against you when reparations are passed, and it's about to happen, and it's going to hit California first. I want to give that some praise, but I want to prepare people too, as much as I can. When the movie Roots came out, there are a lot of times when people, they stopped being friends. My white friends, they were antithetical to being friends again because they saw Roots and how they felt guilty. No matter how much guilt they felt over Roots, some people, they stopped being friends because they thought there was retribution coming. And I think that's a fact. But when it comes to paying reparations, the United States of America, if you watch the movie Roots by Alex Haley, the late Alex Haley, and it shows you what black Americans went through. And now, oftentimes, we just want to see us play sports. I was talking to a good friend of mine, a colleague. He grew up in Alabama, and he talked about the days of the great Bear Bryant, the coach for Alabama. Talked about Kenny Stabler and some of the other great players that have played a quarterback at the University of Alabama. And now you have Milrose in the Rose Bowl leading Alabama up against Michigan. Bart Starr played at Alabama. We have so many great players that played at Alabama. And there was a time, this is a black man that said, when I was asking him about the time USC beat them, and he said he couldn't go to an Alabama game as a black man in the South. He grew up about 80 miles from Tuscaloosa. But he was a big Alabama fan, but he couldn't go there because the white people would treat him so horribly, unless he had a uniform on. So when people watch the movie Roots, they want to start playing Roots before they pass reparations. So people can realize, you know what? That's so inhumane to treat people that way. You can't beat a dog without somebody calling law enforcement. And they were beating slaves, raping them, murdering them, lynching them, selling their children. And some people say, well, that wasn't me. That was somebody else. The country sanctioned it. The United States of America sanctioned it. To me, that's important to know that stuff. We got to know that, because if we don't know it, then we're just a sycophants to it. That's why with Big C Sports, I'm not trying to be like everybody else. I want to be factual. So no matter what you think of my programming, at least you can say, you know what? At least that man is factual. That's the only thing that really matters in life. Are you factual? Give being factual some praise. I want to do that. And I know many of our brethren, they've been so hoodwinked into just watching the game, just wanting to know who won a game. And I love games too, but I love being factual with the games. I'm going to talk a little bit about some NBA rankings today, but I want to make sure I do what's so important on Big C Sports Podcast. That's why I want to say, as one beautiful, intelligent black man, I'm going to build Big C Sports into a billion-dollar corporation. I already know it's going to happen through sports and real estate and the insurance business. Is all part of the Big C team. You want to give that some praise? I love giving it praise. Give it praise. The way the great T.D. Jakes and Joel Osteen say, give God praise. I always produce the show. Number 2, I direct the topics. Number 3, I broadcast all the shows. Number 4, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. Number 5, all the commercials are done. Number 6, the stats are provided. Number 7, I do the storytelling. Number 8, I do the play-by-play. Number 9, I upload the shows to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And number 10, I never miss a show. The only days I don't do Big C Sports is on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Everything else is up for grabs. Good. It's up for grabs. It's all up for grabs. All stand level up. I want to say something that I always do, because it's the last Thursday of 2023, but I'm also going to do it on the first Thursday of 2024. I want to give praise to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and it's coming so close to fruition. It's on the back nine of a golf tournament, if that makes sense to you. I want to give praise to California Reparations Task Force. The chair, Camila Moore, she's brilliant. She specializes in reparative justice. I want to give praise to Dr. Amy C. Brown. He's brilliant. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He is the #1 senator in the United States because, number one, he's the California senator. Number two, he passed a law called Name, Image, and Likeness, NIL. When you're watching college bowl games, you'll see kids that are able to get money for their efforts, and it's because of him. He also helped sponsor the Ebony Alert that helps find young black children when they go missing, and he's going to help pass reparations. I'm going to talk about him later in the show. You got to give him some praise. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stimpy. She's brilliant. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. Want to give him praise. He's been all over the news lately about reparations, not shucking and jiving. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Good. She's brilliant. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. And I'm going to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. Give them some praise. He's also part of the Japanese when they were receiving reparations after being in internment camps. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. And I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. Give that some praise. Give it praise. I love giving praise. I also want to thank Double O, part of the National PAC Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's called the White House. Now, if we could just get the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball to do the same, you got to give that some praise. I know it's coming. You either lead, follow, or get out of the way. Which line are you on? When it comes to reparations now and reparations forever, what side are you on, politicians? Are you on the side that's going to lead or follow or lose your election? The black vote is the golden nugget, the real McCoy. And I appreciate it so much. I just love talking about things. Georgetown University, want to thank them, announced they pledged over $1 billion in counting for descendants of chattel slavery, the 272 that were sold to help pay off the debts for Georgetown University. They were selling them. Imagine somebody selling your children to go pay off their debts with all that Christmas shopping people were doing. Imagine somebody coming into your house and grabbing your kids and selling your children to pay off debts. It happened to black folks. It happened in this country, the United States of America. They sanctioned it. And how dare people say, "Oh, we don't need to pay reparations for all that trauma"? Think about that when it happens, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen. It's on the back nine of a golf tournament. Probably coming up on the 17th hole. And when you think about it happening, there are people who are praying that it doesn't happen because they're evil. Again, if somebody sold your child, you're at the mall shopping, trying to find stuff for Santa Claus to put that in that bag, and you can't find one of your children, you lose your mind. Now imagine law enforcement finds your child and say, "Oh, your child's going to be sold off. You have no rights to that child. We own your child now." And people don't think about the trauma that caused for many black Americans. The same one, and they never got paid. There are people now passing minimum wages that you got to go from $12 an hour up to $15, or from $18 an hour up to $20. There are people who were striking in Hollywood because they couldn't get paid. There are professional football players, basketball and baseball players that will hold out until they get a raise, until they get a contract renegotiated. They will hold out, and they're already millionaires. How dare the United States choose not to pay reparations to descendants of chattel slavery? But those things are changed. I want to give our senators and our congressmen some praise, because the good ones are going to pass it. Now, there's some evil ones, they don't believe in it, even though they get a paycheck every week or every month. You think about that. I want to even give praise to President Joe Biden because he backs a bill studying reparations. as Congress considers the bill. There's nothing to study. President Abraham Lincoln already gave reparations to the slaveholders. When the slaves were freed through the Emancipation Proclamation, he gave reparations to the slaveholders to help for lost compensation of the free labor. Of the free labor! They didn't give the black folks anything. He was going to try to before he was assassinated, and President Andrew Johnson vetoed the bill and gave the land back to the evil people. But it's something else when you think about it. I just want to give that some praise that reparations are starting to happen. I want to touch on something as a fact before I even get into that. I want people to know, especially you real estate, insurance industry, people who are playing sports, join the Big C team, because the goals connecting real estate and insurance brokers and agents around the country in all 50 states to do business. If you're looking for work, 800-772-8624, the 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and tell them Big C sent you. Just leave a message. Someone will get back to you. We can do approvals in less than a day, really less than an hour, with same-day funding. Items needed to qualify: 4 months bank statements, $5,000 minimum monthly revenue, and at least 6 months in business. We specialize in unsecured working capital, up to $5 million, no collateral, early payoff discounts. We can fund in as little as a day, and as an agent, then you can get paid. We pay you 4 points. Real estate brokers only get 3 points. How you get 4 points, Big C? 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and give that some praise. Just tell them Big C sent you. That's so important. I want to tell people, look at the Google Freedmen's Bank that was set up by Congress. But before I get into that, and I want to lead people to some reading that's so important. Of course, every professional athlete needs to know this. It's called, it's the #1 bestseller as reported in Essence Magazine, Emerge Magazine, Blackboard, and also QBR Blacklist. And it's called Black Labor, White Wealth. What? What's it called, Big C? It's called Black Labor and White Wealth. And there's some quotes from the Washington Post. Dorothy Gillum, she said what she likes about the book is Dr. Anderson's The Search for Solutions, and he offers practical courses of action that black Americans can take to become politically and economically competitive in America. And you know the election's coming up. And also, William L. Clay, a member of Congress. Dr. Anderson methodically outlines and articulates strategies for black Americans to become a self-empowered people in America despite the obvious injustices imposed on them throughout much of their history in this country. That's by William L. Clay, a member of Congress. A historical analysis and a financial blueprint for the future of black economic empowerment. That's by Ebony Magazine. Ebony Magazine is one of the most prominent newspapers for black Americans. And then Barbara Reynolds of USA Today. Before Republicans killed affirmative action, they should read a new book by historian Dr. Claude Anderson, Black Labor, White Wealth. It shows how white wealth in the United States was developed by black labor and is maintained by preferential treatment for white people. That's the USA Today. Tony Brown's Journal. Dr. Anderson examines the methods rights used in gain power. By more importantly, he provides examples of ways black Americans can adopt some of those same methods to build wealth and power for themselves. Black Labor, White Wealth is provocative and powerful. Well, who is Dr. Claude Anderson, Big C? Dr. Claude Anderson is the founder and president of the Harvest Institute, a think tank whose mission is the social and economic reform of black America. A well-known political strategist, businessman, educator, and economic development consultant, Dr. Anderson was a former official to the Jimmy Carter administration. He is a real estate developer, maintains ownership interests in retail food businesses, and was among the first African Americans to own a radio station. He obtained a doctorate of education degree from Wayne State University. You got to give that some praise. He's not shucking and jiving. who's also good friends of President Joe Biden. I want to get into this before I get into some more sports. It's so important. And people, as you watch the game, and you stand up for the kickoff. After 500 years, why are black Americans still on the bottom? How has social integration failed black Americans? Have the nation's immigration policies injured black Americans? Is the United States Constitution or affirmative action plan for white people? What would be President Barack Obama's greatest legacy? This is on one of the books through Powernomics. For nearly 500 years, black Americans in America have lived with the segregation and political correctness that maldistributed, think about it, nearly 100% of the nation's wealth. Land, resources, rights, privileges, and controls of all levels of government into the hands of white Americans. Simultaneously, those systems co-sign blacks into an impoverished and powerless underclass, denied the fruit of their labor, freedom, and basic rights. It was impossible for blacks to be anything other than what white society wanted them to be. The United States Constitution, the court system, and major corporations were all complicit in locking black Americans into a carefully designed social construct based on race. That social construct, think about it, is instituted even before the official founding of the nation. You think about the Civil Rights Movement. It was so culturally entrenched that not only the Civil War, but the black civil rights, that movement that we all talk about, our social integration could significantly alter its effects. So a black history reader, Dr. Claude Anderson's 5th book was written to highlight and examine this ignored social construct on race, its effects on black Americans, and strategies they can use to take advantage of its weakness, using a question and answer. You got to understand, embedded within the social construct, the nation, however, ignores the exceptionality of black Americans and treats them as guests, and then develop this nation. It was done off the backs of black folks. You got to think about it. Many times media promotes the untruths that all groups have contributed equally in this country. It's not true. In the development of Americans, black Americans were not paid. Neither natives nor immigrants. They learned the accurate history of the nation and the fact that blacks, you got to keep in mind, were the economic engine that drove the country's development. You think about that. Drove the country's development. A black history reader corrects the myths, distortions, lies, and omissions about the exceptional contributions of black Americans. It is based on the socio-economic self-empowerment principles of Powernomics. So go out and read it and buy it and give that some praise. As we stand up for the kickoff. I love doing that. I know I'm going to talk about some NBA today. And people obviously love NBA. But California, what have Big C's been saying? California proposes new state agency to handle reparations for black Americans. Just like Big C's been saying. I can't make this stuff up. It's so important. Reparations for Californians who are descendants of black American slaves, one step closer to becoming a reality. One step closer. Like I said, it's on the back nine, like a 17th hole. What those reparations will have not yet been made public yet, but the gentleman that I spoke with and took pictures with, California Senator Stephen Bradford, Democrat out of Gardena, California, he introduced SB 490, the first reparations-related bill introduced to the California legislature since the State Reparations Task Force submitted its final recommendations report to the governor and legislature earlier this summer. It's so important. The bill will establish the state government body that will administer reparations and this will be the start, said Senator Bradford. In order to implement reparations, whatever it looks like, you need a governmental agency or some sort of oversight department to do so before you can even talk about what reparations look like. You need to have the infrastructure there. That's so important. I want to give that some praise. Listen to what Senator Stephen Bradford has to say.
Department to do so. So that's what this bill will do. Before you can even talk about what reparations look like, you have to put the infrastructure there.
As for what reparations will look like, lawmakers and the governor still need to hammer that out. But the Reparations Task Force received a lot of attention for its recommendation that the legislature consider what it described as down payments to go to descendants of anyone who was a black American slave, as well as those in the black community whose ancestors arrived before 1900. At one point, the proposal suggested if descendants meet a certain criteria for the wrongs they've endured, coupled with the amount of time they've lived in California, then they could be eligible for up to $1.2 million. But Bradford, himself a member of the task force, downplayed that, saying reparations are about much more than any dollar amount.
I think we lose the focus of what we're talking about if we only focus on money. Again, this was not about money. It was about, first a recognition of a debt that is owed to these descendants.
What he says that could look like?
It's many ways to compensate folks outside of a cash payment. We can have continued education. We can have ongoing health care, free health care, tax relief.
As for the end goal for slave descendants?
To make a difference and have an impact on those individuals' lives.
Now, as for the timeline, Bradford says he ideally wants to see the proposed new state agency up and running before he's termed out of the legislature in 2024. And as for the governor, well, he says he supports reparations in principle, but needs more time to review the task force recommendations before he's ready to make any formal policy announcement. Reporting from the...
Well, that's what I want to put forward for Big C Sports. You can hear California Senator Stephen Bradford with his own voice talking about reparations. Cash payments are necessary. It's more than just cash payments. Some people think just giving people money. It's about money. It's about resources to property. It's about having access to better health care. Even elimination of taxes for as long as slaves existed in the United States of America. Why are black Americans having to pay taxes when white wealth was built upon black Americans not even getting money, not even getting any type of compensation? And now the Homestead Act that white Americans got on over 300 million acres, that was given to them. That created a great deal of wealth in the white community. So no matter what people think about reparations, you hear it from a senator's mouth. You only hear that on Big C Sports. I want to give that praise. It's more than just money. Yes, I want my money. The $1 million, the $3 million, whatever it is between $1.2 million and $3 million. Yes, I want that, but I also want access to better health care, access to better education, access to housing, access to land, have our own land the way white people and Europeans were given land by this country in the Homestead Act of 1863. So people got to know that. You only hear that on Big C Sports. He was not shucking and jiving. Now, for people that say, well, why are you going to talk about politics on the sports show? Senator Bradford, that's the same black man that helped sponsor Name, Image, and Likeness. That's allowing a lot of black athletes to get paid, and the white ones too, on their name, image, and likeness. I don't know how anyone would fight against that, but some people have tried. I've heard some college coaches saying, I can't believe some of these guys are choosing not to play in the bowl game. You're playing with your brothers. You're committed to the bowl games. You should always play. And the coaches, they're getting paid. If you have a chance to play pro, why are you playing in a bowl game where you could injure yourself and then be out of the millions that you can possibly make? If you know you're a first or second or third round draft pick, why are you playing in a bowl game? But what about the fans? The fans want to be entertained. A coach can get a contract offer and leave, and they bounce around from school to school because of the money. Not because of the brotherhood, not because they love their players. They get offered more money. From Nick Saban, he wasn't always at Alabama. He's been coached at LSU in the past. Urban Meyer coached at Utah, Florida, and Ohio State. Lincoln Riley, USC just beat Louisville last night. He was at Oklahoma. Now he's at USC. Chip Kelly is at UCLA. He was at Oregon. Coach DeBoer, who's at Washington in the National Championship playoffs, he was at Fresno State. When you think about that, Sarkisian, coach of Texas, he was at the staff at USC, and I believe also now he's down. He was at Sarkisian. Now he's at Texas. You think about that. He's bounced around in the SEC. Coach Harbaugh, he wasn't always at Michigan. He was coaching for the 49ers. I mean, everybody has their own thoughts about what players should do, but my push for reparations is so important that I love talking about it because it's so real. It's more important than any bowl game, but I know we love the bowl games too. But I just wanted to give Senator Bradford some praise because he's a man that's out there talking about it. It's more than just money. It's always been about more than just money. And I'm proud that he's out there to stomp for that. So I want to give him praise again. Going to be having a conversation with Big C Sports. Isn't that something about how God has aligned Big C Sports? How could Big C Sports have a conversation with the number one senator in the United States of America? You gotta just how? I say it's through the praise. And to talk about reparations. We have a lot in common. He's a sports guy and politician. I'm a sports guy, not necessarily a politician, but I have access to many politicians because of my work with Big C Sports. That's important to me. I want to get that some praise. You just heard it with your own two ears. You only hear that on Big C Sports. That's why I say Big C Sports is the number one sports show in the universe. I'm trying to get everybody paid. I want to take this time to thank the Associated Press. Jamie Harr did an article on Big C Sports, and it was picked up by NBC News, CBS News, ABC News, Fox News, the Associated Press on California reparations. It was March 30, 2023. And it says that Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast, that cash payments are necessary. Money talks. It's not just cash payments. And now you have a senator, the number one senator of the United States of America, saying the same thing. What can we get our other black brethren to do the same thing? What are you guys so afraid of? He's the number one senator in the United States of America, and he's advocating for our ancestry that got robbed. And we sitting there shucking and jiving. Why won't the person that you work for tell you about reparations? Shut up! Are they from the Southern Confederates? Reparations will stimulate the economy. The economy needs stimulation. The money's fiat currency. The money's already set aside. They don't have to raise your taxes on nothing. It's already set aside with Freedman's Bank. That was robbed! Congress set that bank up in 1865 for freed slaves to put their money in banks because the white banks wouldn't take it. They were robbing us. You think about that. Reparations are due. And decent people are understanding that. Now you can even hear about it on the news. I know you want to watch the game because you can't wait to see these guys with free labor running around. You can Google H.R. 40. Congress commissions to study and develop reparations proposal for African Americans. I already told you, AB 3121 Assembly Bill. It's about a legislative tracking the bill's details for the state of California. You just heard Senator Stephen Bradford talk, and that's powerful. We got to know that. From sea to shining sea, California Governor Gavin Newsom, New York City Governor Kelly Hockey, they're all talking about reparations. Now, some cynical says, a cynic person says, well, they just want to do that to get the vote. Maybe they do, but no reparations, no vote. The black vote is like gold. Everybody wants it. Just like black labor, the United States wanted black labor to get the head start on building wealth from 1619 to 1865. But those things are changing. And I want to give decent people some praise because there's a lot of good people that are trying to do the right thing. And I just want to give them praise for that. I want to talk a little bit about college football. We know there's been a lot of games going on all over the country. And obviously people have their thoughts on getting ready for the big games. I'm telling you, I'm so excited about it. In week 14 of the college football season, the complete schedule for the College Football Playoffs Committee, and they talked about great matchups coming up. We have, I'm telling you, there's so many great games. And I can't wait to see it. Number 1, Michigan versus number 4, Alabama in the College Football Playoff semifinal at the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, January 1 at 5 o'clock p.m. East Coast time on ESPN. Big C Sports will talk about that. We got and I got Michigan falling to Alabama by less than a touchdown. Even though Michigan's favorite, I got Alabama winning that game. Alabama plays on grass surface. Michigan plays on AstroTurf. The Rose Bowl is a grass surface, so they're already used to how the grass holds up when you're running up and down the field. And I think the quarterback for Alabama, Milrose, I think he's like a Lamar Jackson in my opinion. Not as polished, but he's good. Alabama can run the ball. Their offensive and defensive lines are solid. Michigan has a very good defense as well, but I don't think they have faced the likes of Alabama all year. And their closest contest may have been when they faced Ohio State, similar type of team to Alabama, and they only won that game by a touchdown at home. Now they got to travel to the Rose Bowl and play on grass to play an Alabama team that knocked off Georgia. The only team to beat Georgia in the last 2 years has been Alabama. Really, in the last 3 years, only Alabama's beaten Georgia. They snapped Georgia's 29-game win streak. Georgia, to me, is a better team than Michigan. Last time Michigan played Georgia 2 years ago, it was 34-10 Georgia. What's improved? What's changed? But Alabama, Nick Saban, Jim Harbaugh, must-see TV. Both of these coaches making over $10 million a year. And they should be the ones stomping for reparations. Reparations now! Reparations forever! Let's see if they're talking about reparations for the sin of the child slavery. Because they have a lot of athletes that are getting paid on name, image, and likeness. But they know they go into the black neighborhoods to recruit the black athlete. Look at their team. Look at their roster for Alabama. Almost everybody's black. Out of 11 starters on offense, about 9 are black. Out of 11 starters on defense, about 10 are black. They go into the neighborhoods to get the black athlete. But they should also be telling them, we support reparations. We know that black Americans, your ancestry was robbed. That's how white people built up all the money in this country. Not everyone, but pejoratively. And they know that, especially in the Deep South. I started the show telling you about a friend of mine, a colleague of mine in the insurance business and real estate business. He grew up in Alabama, about 80 miles from Tuscaloosa, when Paul Bear Bryant was doing his thing. Bart Starr, Kenny the Snake Stabler, and black people couldn't go to Alabama games. They were treated like crap by the good white people of Alabama. How dare you not talk about reparations? When even Paul Bear Bryant said, I got to get me some of those. When USC scored 42 points on the Crimson Tide down south. Sam Bam Cunningham, I got to get me some of those. He meant black men. And that's all they draft. That's all they recruit nowadays. For every 10 men they recruit, 9 are black. Look at Alabama starting 10 or starting 11 on offense and defense. But look at their audience. Their crowd is about 99% white to cheer on black athletes. If they're going to cheer on black athletes, they need to cheer on reparations now. Reparations forever. Let's see if Coach Jim Harbaugh, who's got it better than us? Nobody. If he can say that, let's see if Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban have the same decency that California Governor Gavin Newsom has, and the same decency that California Senator, the number one senator of the United States, Stephen Bradford has. Senator Stephen Bradford helped those kids that Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh recruit get paid through name, image, and likeness. Senator Bradford did that. You would think they would be stomping and saying we support reparations, especially when they go into these kids' households and they see the pictures of great-grandma on the wall and great-great-granddaddy on the wall. And they know the hell they went through in this segregated country with all the Jim Crow laws, separate, unequal, Brown versus Board of Education, Plessy versus Ferguson, anti-civil rights in every step of the way. And now they go into the same black households to get their great-great-grandchildren. How dare you not support reparations? You got the University of Washington, number 2 ranked, versus number 3 Texas in the college football playoff semifinals at the Sugar Bowl in Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, January 1, 8:45 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on ESPN. What a day to sit down and watch ESPN with all the black talent down in Texas, the last state to liberate slavery, if that makes sense to you. General Sherman's order. It's important. Emancipation Proclamation. Reparations. University of Washington, the Huskies, last national championship in 1991 under the late Donnie James. University of Texas, the last national championship 2005 at the Rose Bowl versus USC. You think about that. And now they play in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans. Texas is just a pickup drive away to Louisiana, New Orleans. So they'll have the crowd of probably 70% burnt orange. And then the Huskies, they got to travel from Seattle to play down in the South. Both teams play on the AstroTurf, so that's not going to be a difference. Now, what I see in this game, Texas has a big, beefy offensive line, a big, beefy defensive line of Texas linemen. When you look at the Big 12 champion, the Texas Longhorns, their defense, on their defense, 9 of the 11 starters are black kids. On their offense, 9 of the 11 starters are black kids. Star season, he should be championing reparations for descendants of child slavery. NIL by the number one senator of the United States, Senator Stephen Bradford, he helps those kids get paid on name, image, and likeness. But Texas has a big pass rush. They're formidable to run the ball against, but they have not seen a passing attack like what the Washington Huskies have with Michael Penix Jr., who was second place for the Heisman Trophy. Under only to Jalen Daniels at LSU. But the Huskies come in, they can run the ball. Not a dominant run game, but they make their living with the pass. And Michael Penix Jr. has some great receivers to throw to. They can get open downfield. They will get open downfield against Texas. In order to beat Texas, you got to throw over the top because you got to put the secondary in one-on-one coverage. And the Huskies receivers can do that, and then you can throw out of the backfield to your running back. Now, Michael Penix, he's not a scrambler, but he can move around in the pocket. But he's not a scrambler, not at all. He reminds me of Billy Joe Hobart, and also with that play at Washington when they won their last national championship. He reminds me of him. At the same time, Washington on defense, can they slow Texas? I think they can. They can hang with them, but I don't think Washington is as beefy up front. So Texas got to try to pound the ball. In Texas, when they try to pass, Washington sees the pass all the time in the Pac-12. So this is kind of contrasting styles, in my opinion. Texas will have more success if they try to pound the ball against the Huskies, try to bring that defense up to stack the box, and then throw over the top. But Washington's good up against the pass. So I don't think Washington is afraid of Texas' passing game because they see the best quarterbacks that pass the football in the Pac-12, whether you're dealing with Bo Nix out of Oregon, whether they're dealing with last year's Heisman Trophy winner, and now you have so many great players out of the Pac-12, DJ Uiagalelei, that have won or competed for Heisman trophies. We all know that is there. Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy last year. So Washington's seen those quarterbacks. They played against Jalen Daniels when he was at Arizona State, the Heisman Trophy winner. So the Washington Huskies players and coaches, they've seen the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and Caleb Williams at USC, and Daniels now at LSU, but he came from Arizona State. They've seen those passing. They've seen Bo Nix. They've seen DJ Uiagalelei. They've seen Cameron Wiseman from Utah. They've seen great quarterbacks that can throw the ball. And all those guys will most likely get drafted into the NFL. So Washington's seen the passing game. You're not going to fool them with the pass. If you're Texas, you're going to have to try to pound that ball and pound them and try to wear them down. But the Huskies have a bend but don't break defense. But I'm telling you, if there's a shootout in the Sugar Bowl, and I think it will be, Washington has a chance in a shootout because Texas hasn't seen the NFL-style quarterbacks that you see in the Pac-12. They see mostly run heavy, play-action pass, but they don't see guys that can read and get downfield the way the Pac-12 does. So, in my opinion, Washington's going to be pass-heavy in this game and stick it around every now and then. They're going to put their hopes to win on Michael Penix Jr., and I think they'll have success in their passing game. But I think overall, Texas, if you can control the clock, I think they can come down and try to win this game by a field goal late, if that makes sense to you. I have no dog in the game, if that makes sense to you. And then the Sugar Bowl, it would be so loud in that stadium because it's indoor. And the Texas fans, they will travel more so than Washington. That's my opinion. So I got Texas winning that game. And then we have I have national championship game. I'm picking Michigan to lose to Alabama, Washington to lose to Texas. And I got Texas playing Alabama for the national championship. That's my story. I'm going to stick with it. Ironically, both teams are going to be in the SEC next year. And so also Florida State versus number 6 Georgia in the Orange Bowl, December 30 at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Florida State, undefeated ACC champion. They get to play the once beaten Georgia Bulldogs, defending national champion. And Georgia, obviously, they were beaten by Alabama, as I thought they would be. But at the same time, Florida State went undefeated. And they complain a lot about not being selected to play in the college football national championship playoffs, the top 4 teams. Well, now they can put their money where their mouth is. What did Jim Brown say? There was a guy in the Richard Pryor skit, and there's a big dude that was talking crap to Jim Brown. He said, I'm going to mess up Jim Brown. I can't wait. Take your hand off me. I'm going to mess up Jim Brown. And Jim Brown said, gentlemen, I think if you let the man go, he could express himself a little better. And the man said, okay, don't nobody take every finger off my body. Just back me on out the door and don't start no mess. I'm sorry I had a bad day. And I think that's what Florida State's going to find out when they play Georgia. And even some players have opted out. That's okay. They have a right to do that. But I got Georgia winning this game by 2 touchdowns, maybe even 3. Take no respect away from Florida State. They're just not the same kind of team. They struggle early and try to win late. Against Georgia, Georgia's been a slow starting team too. But they are more talented. They're more physical. And I think Georgia runs away from Florida State in the Orange Bowl. Unless it's an upset, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Ohio State, number 7, versus number 9, Missouri in the Cotton Bowl, December 29th at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Ohio State Buckeyes a nut. You'd be nuts to bet against the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got the Ohio State Buckeyes. The only team they really have a problem beating the last 2 years has been Michigan and Georgia. Well, they already lost to Michigan, but only by a touchdown. They could have been playing for the national championship had they just scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion against Michigan. That's how close it is. But they were Big 12 or the Big 10 runner-up. Even though Iowa played Michigan in the championship game, we know Ohio State is the second best team in the Big 10. Missouri, well, it's a lot for them to handle Ohio State. I know they played well in the SEC. They're ranked number 9, but in my opinion, they're a good team, but Ohio State's a better team. I got Ohio State winning that game by a touchdown or maybe more. And we got number 8, Oregon versus number 23, Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl down in Arizona. I think Oregon will fly high because they take themselves lightly. Oregon's a better football team than Liberty. Obviously, Liberty's a new kid on the block. I would have liked if Oregon could have played a more noteworthy opponent, in my opinion. Take no respect away from Liberty University, but Oregon's, with their history and just one loss away from playing in the college football playoffs when they lost to Washington in the Pac-12 championship, I would have thought maybe the bowl committee would have lined up someone like a Penn State versus Oregon down in the Fiesta Bowl. But that's my opinion, because it would have made more sense for Oregon and a Penn State, but they decided what they decided. We got number 10, Penn State. Speaking of Penn State versus number 11, Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl. I would have thought it'd be better for the fans that want to travel to play Liberty against Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl and put Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon, but that didn't happen. I got Penn State beating number 11, Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl. And then number 12, Oklahoma versus number 14, Arizona in the Alamo Bowl. That's December 28th at 9:15 p.m. on ESPN. I'm going to go with the Arizona Wildcats because they played a lot better football down the back 9 than Oklahoma has. I know Oklahoma has a tradition, but I think Arizona, they're going to win that game. That's my opinion I'm sticking with. Number 13, LSU out of the SEC versus Wisconsin and the ReliaQuest Bowl. That's 12 o'clock p.m. on ESPN2. I'm going to go with LSU to get that win. Southern California 42, number 15 Louisville 28 in the Holiday Bowl. That was last night. USC out of the Pac-12 didn't have the best year this year, but they're able to knock off Louisville that was aiming for the ACC championship. It wasn't really close. 6 touchdown passes by a newcomer quarterback, 42-28 over Louisville. That shows you that the Pac-12, kind of a down year for USC, but they still dominated the Louisville that was competing for the ACC championship. Number 16, Notre Dame versus number 19, Oregon State. The Sun Bowl, December 29th, 2 o'clock p.m. on CBS Sports. Whenever Notre Dame's in a bowl game, I got to go with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, even though Oregon State's a good run team, good passing team, but Dele Uyunglele, I think he's opted out, if that makes sense to you. Number 17, Iowa versus number 21, Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. I got to go. That's January 1 o'clock p.m. on ABC Sports. I'm going to go with Tennessee, the big SEC powerhouse program, versus Iowa. Iowa doesn't score any points. They have a hard time scoring, so I'm going to go with Tennessee in that game. And then just one more. I'm going to say a couple more just down the back nine. Number 18, North Carolina State versus number 25, Kansas State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Pop-Tarts Bowl, December 28th at 5:45 p.m. on ESPN, already underway. I don't talk about games that are underway, but I'm going to go with Kansas State to pull out that win. You got number 20, Oklahoma State, 31, Texas A&M, 23 in the Texas Bowl. A&M just kind of slid down the back nine, if that makes sense to you. Number 22, Clemson versus Kentucky in the Gator Bowl, December 29th at 12 o'clock p.m. on ESPN. And all fan level war, but I'm going to go with Clemson to get a win, if that makes sense to you, Dabu Sweeney. Boston College 23, SMU, number 24, SMU 14 in the Fenway Bowl. That already happened. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it for college football. As I tell you, I love talking about the sports and also reparations. I love always praising my family legacy on my mother's side. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother called her Mama, a beautiful, loving, kind woman. Always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. My great-granddaddy, Pop, former military man and Negro League baseball player known as the Real McCoy. My grandmother, Mud Did, beautiful, loving, kind woman. Always making sure lots of love in the family, lots of food in the belly. She was a seer, could off the top look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Really do appreciate Mud Did. She still helps me to this day. And then I also love giving praise to my grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, a seer, could off the top look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Best person I ever met in my life. Always saying rise and shine. On my daddy's side, my granddaddy, called him Albert Curry, a former pastor. He had 3 churches. He also owned 2 gas stations, and plus he owned 40 acres of land. Really do appreciate him. And then my beautiful grandmother, Alberta Curry, working side by side with my granddaddy with the 3 churches and the 2 gas stations. I was walking through a hallway, 8 years old in Oakland. About 10 o'clock at night, I felt someone touch me in my forehead. And she said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Whoa, what are you doing up, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "Cookies and baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." But you know, she said there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. It's amazing that same voice has got me to announce reparations coming when it happens. And you can give that some praise. And then she also let me have a couple more cookies. I really do appreciate her, my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying go forward. I really do appreciate my father. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. Todd was being all voracious reader, always talking about sports and politics. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years. Set up the very first interview for Big C Sports back at Salem Media. Also helped me when coaches came to the West Coast to do work with Big C Sports. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul, Daisy. You can be anything you want to be, but always read Powernomics and read how white society has always tried to destroy the relationship between black men and their children. Read it and look around you and see if that's happening now. It's called Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. Oftentimes they want to isolate black people, especially the black girls, from their fathers. Why is that? And look around and see if that's the truth. I only speak the truth. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College senior, very smart, erudite, a good man. You can be anything you want to be. Malcolm helped me save trees. One day I was looking at trees, our newspapers, to get stats on Big C Sports Podcast. One day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. One day Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now I'm streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And Reparations is going to happen the same way, son. I've been talking about this stuff before it happened, and now you have the #1 senator in the United States having an interview with your father. The same father that many people that you know of try to keep you divided from. Look, what color are they? Read Powernomics and see what Dr. Claude Anderson says about that division of where they try to divide the black father from his family. It's been happening since 1619. Look around and tell me if I'm telling you the truth. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. You can be anything you want to be. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn, always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe, and let's get ready to rumble! I love saying welcome to the show. As we nominated Big C Sports Podcast, I have no scripts, I have no 3-bit teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I keep my show fresh like collard greens. Well, as I always tell you, with the holidays coming, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start drinking and driving. The life you save may be your own or somebody you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Big C, what about back in the day? Oh, yeah. Well, back by popular demand, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to say, reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. That's my dream. Take it with it. My beautiful mother always says that never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. You know, anybody going through that crap, pick up the phone and call 911. People change when the police show up. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. What about Honor Abraham Lincoln, Big C? Give me a chance to get to it. I want to say, as you stand up for the kickoff, let's honor President Abraham Lincoln when he said, reparations now, reparations forever. Politicians are starting to listen. You just heard Senator Stephen Bradford talk about it on the show. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell us? He says, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, Congress. It's here, right now. President Abraham Lincoln said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.